Stay tuned as we take a look at this Marvel Legends Mister Sinister from the Wendigo Build-A-Figure Wave. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends Mister Sinister from the brand new Wendigo Build-A-Figure Wave, aka the X-Force Wave. Now, Mr. Sinister is an iconic villain in the X-Men universe and is one I needed a figure of, as I never managed to get that Toy Biz version, even though people say that did hold up for a while, but this Hasbro version is definitely gonna beat it out, I think. Now, the box is quite heavy, so there's a decent sized figure in there. There's no accessories apart from the Wendigo Build-A-Figure piece, but as I said, it is a nice chunky figure and he should stand out amongst your X-Men villains. So looking forward to opening this guy. On the side of the box, we're getting a little picture of Mr. Sinister, looking quite sinister, ding ding. And then on the back, we're getting another graphic picture and a write-up. And then as always, you get a list of all the figures. In this wave, you need to complete the Wendigo Build-A-Figure. Today we're reviewing Mr. Sinister. So as I said, another one of my favourite X-Men villains, happy to add him to my shelf, but let's get him out the box. So here we have Nathaniel Essex out of the box, looking very nice, big and imposing as a villain should. It's a decent size for a single packed figure. As you can see, he is just over 7 inches tall, just under 7.5 if you include the collar. So he will definitely look imposing amongst your X-Men villains on the shelf. He doesn't come packed with anything else apart from the Wendigo arm. So you know what to do, go and subscribe to the channel as I always review the Build-A-Figure last. But yes, he doesn't come packaged with anything else as he mainly takes up the box just himself, especially this giant cape piece at the back. It would have been good to get maybe a couple of interchangeable heads with some different expressions, as he isn't always smiling in the comics. Usually has a much more sinister face, and yeah, he looks decent though. Maybe some interchangeable hands would have been good as well, so you get one fisted hand and one sort of grabby, clawy hand. But yeah, he does look nice. Much needed update for this iconic character from the comics. And yeah, this cape, as you can see, it's not too heavy so he doesn't stand, but it does make him back heavy. But because it's quite a big figure, he can sort of stand with it. Even if you lean him forward, you can see it's not touching the floor. It's not going to hold him up, as it's a bit flimsy, it's a bit tassely. But it doesn't come apart, unfortunately. You can't take it off. I thought there may be a peg or something, but nope, it seems all glued in place. So you're not ever going to be able to remove that unless you want to permanently cut it off and then glue it back on. I don't know, but there's 2 layers to it. As you can see, the top layer and the bottom layer, just to give it more volume. But it's a nice sort of vinyl-y looking. It works for Mr. Sinister, let's be honest. And it looks like these are all separate strands, but they're not. They're in sections, even though it looks like they're all separate tassels. But no, they're in sections. But again, it works for the character. I like it. You're just going to have to make some room for him on your shelf. But let me zoom in, show you that face sculpt and some of the more of the details on the figure. So there's that sinister grin, and he sort of reminds me of the Joker a little bit, that smile does. Maybe it's the clown makeup. But yeah, it would have been good to get a couple of interchangeable heads with different expressions, but unfortunately not. You see the red diamond on his head, the black lips, the teeth, the red eyes. It is Mr. Sinister and it looks good. And this collar is massive. It's made of a soft piece though, but again, you're not going to be able to remove it. The rest of the figures in the sort of metallic sort of blue. Again, you've got the diamond, and the belt is a separate piece by the feel of it. Yeah, it is. And the boots are thigh highs, but there is a boot cut, so you can rotate at the boot. The rest is like metallic with these lines coming through, sort of like, I wouldn't be surprised if these are the same body parts as the recent Colossus figure we've had. And again, on the back, same paint job there. But yeah, we get one grabby hand, which I've already said. Would have been good to get maybe 2 of them, or maybe 2 fists, just to mix it up a little bit. But you can get him sort of standing in that sort of pose where he's holding his fist a little bit like that. But yeah, details are nice. Figure looks good. Now I noticed while I was zoomed in, I've got a chip on the top of his head, so that black hair, I've got a big white chip in it, so I need to paint that. But other than that, the paintwork seems okay, as it's mainly what colour the plastic is. But yeah, it works. And again, this guy's just going to be standing on yourself looking sinister, so you're not going to be able to get him in some crazy poses, even though there is a decent range of articulation for this guy if you want to get him battling your X-Men. It's what you would expect for a big figure. It's decent enough, average Marvel Legends articulation, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, decent ankle pivot, and there is decent ab crunch. But again, it's going to be balancing game with that cape. But it does work. As you can see, there's him crunching forward, and he's staying up without falling over, even though the cape's heavy. There you go. You can see what I mean. But yes. So do you know who Nathaniel Essex is? He hasn't always been a mutant, and he may not even be a mutant now. He may just be sort of genetically altered to be this way. But maybe I should explain that in a segment I like to call Mr. Sinister. Who is he? This is the part of the video where we ask the question, who is he? And I try and give you a little bit of information about the character this figure is inspired by. So, Mr. Sinister, who is he? Real name Nathaniel Essex was a biologist and wasn't born a mutant, but was obsessed with them and led a group called the Mariahs. This led him to Apocalypse, who would give Nathaniel his abilities. His first full appearance was the Uncanny X-Men 221 in 1987. He's a scientific evil genius that's been genetically altered to have superhuman strength and telepathic abilities. Obsessed with creating the perfect mutant, Mr. Sinister is always in the shadows of the X-Men universe. There you go, so I hope that helps. Again, I do not claim to be an expert, but it is nice to have a little bit of information about the characters these figures are inspired by. So, as now you know, he got his powers and abilities from Apocalypse, as they both have similar interests in that mutant gene that he seems to be obsessed with creating a new breed. And yeah, as you can see, these two very much themed together with that metallic blue and will look nice on your shelf displayed together. And just to throw in another mutant, I think this is the first guy that ever mentioned the name Mr. Sinister. It was Sabretooth. And again, Marvel Legends are doing a great job with these X-Men characters, both heroes and villains, looking very nice on our displays. And yeah, these three looking good together. Now this gets confusing and I'm just going to briefly go over it, but Nathaniel, obviously Mr. Sinister, is obsessed with creating the perfect mutant, the mutant gene, and he wants to use Scott Summers to do that. He's obsessed with Scott Summers, and he also likes Jean Grey, so he wants them to create babies and new race of mutants. But Jean Grey dies, so he has to create a clone of Jean Grey called Madeline Pryor, and then Scott Summers, because it's a clone, obviously likes Madeline Pryor, and they have a baby. And the baby is Nathaniel Summers, aka Cable. But obviously Nathaniel Summers gets taken to the future, and that's where Cable comes from, blah blah blah. And then Hope Summers is the last of the Summers bloodline or something like that, and Cable has to look after her, something. I'm sure someone in the comments can explain it much better than I just did. But yeah, it's a convoluted storyline that has gone through many years in X-Men comics, but Mr. Sinister is always lurking in the background because of it. So yes, an important villain to the X-Men shelf. Definitely one you're going to have to add to your collection. And then lastly, the last comparison, here we have Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler. Full review of this guy on the channel right now. And yes, he is also in the Wendigo Wave, so I'm slowly working my way through these guys. And again, these two are looking great. These two are my two most anticipated figures for this wave. That's why it's the first two I've reviewed. And yeah, I'm not disappointed so far. These are looking great. So you let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you a fan of Mr. Sinister? Are you keeping your Toy Biz version, or are you happy that Hasbro have given us an update? I'm not happy about that little dink on his head, but I'm gonna have to get some black paint to that. Other than that, I do really like the figure, and it is a character I've wanted on my display for a while, and I'm now happy to add him. So you know what to do. Go and check out the videos tab. Tons more reviews as I work through these Wendigo Build-A-Figure reviews, and of course hundreds of other Marvel Legends reviews. Go and check them out, videos tab. But most importantly, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. And as always, my name is Dan W, and I shall see you on the next one.